After a long, grueling, painful 3 weeks, the New York Mets have finally won a series as they take 2 out of 3 against the Minnesota Twins. We've got a lot to talk about. We have the three-man booth here tonight, so let's crack open the intro and we'll get right into it.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York Town.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Bleed Orange and Blue podcast. My name is TJ Labby, Dylan Marciano to my right, and below me is Gary King III. And gentlemen, finally, and I mean finally, the New York Mets have won a baseball series for the first time in over 3 weeks. The last series win was against the San Francisco Giants to close out their first road trip of the season. And all I got to say, gentlemen, is thank goodness it has finally happened.
Thank God. We really needed this bad.
It was definitely one of those series that the Mets needed desperately. And coming into the series, I had a little. I don't know how how I was feeling going into this series because of a horrid road trip, a horrid 12-game losing streak, then coming in to play the Minnesota Twins, who have been very much on and off in consistency. They had a huge game against Garrett Crochet, one of the supposedly best pitchers in the league. They roughed up to reach Scooble as well. So it was definitely one of those series that I did not know what was really going to happen. But luckily, they figured it out. Even though it was a begrudging start, it had an enlightening finish. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's break down these games in order. The first game, the Mets would lose. It would be their 12th straight loss. They would lose 5-3 against the Minnesota Twins via a late game rally by the Twins. Cole Sands would get the win for the Twins. He'd be 1-1 with a 3.48 ERA. And then Devin Williams, who is going to be a main point in this discussion for sure, unfortunately gets the loss. He would go to 0-1 with a 9.95 ERA. The final line of this game, the Twins 5 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. The Mets with 3 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. The pitching in this one was great because, well, the ace was on the hill and the ace was dealing. He went 6 2/3, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs. 3 of those earned runs were inherited. No walks, 10 strikeouts, including a home run. Actually, one of those runs were by him. The other 2 runs were inherited from Huascar Braziban, who came in for an inning and a third, gave up 2 and had 2 strikeouts. Devin Williams, the guy that got booed, and I mean booed mercilessly. After he came in, he didn't even record an out. Gave up a hit, 2 earned runs, 3 walks in the inning. It was just a nightmare type of relief outing for Devin Williams. And Austin Warren then came in, got 3 strikeouts, came in for an inning of work, and the Mets faithful, at least the few that were there on a freezing night at Citi Field, were chanting MVP. I am not kidding, folks. Austin Warren was getting MVP chants. That's how down bad the New York Mets were in this game. As for the hitting, Marcus Semien would get the leadoff spot in this game. He would go 0 for 3 with a run scored, a walk, and a strikeout. Lindor went 1 for 3 with a run scored, 3 RBIs, and a walk and a strikeout. Luis Robert Jr. went 0 for 4. Bichette 1 for 4. MJ Melendez 0 for 2. Luis Torrens pinch hitting would go 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Francisco Alvarez 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Brett Beatty 1 for 2 with a strikeout. Tyrone Taylor 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Mark Vientos 1 for 2 with a walk. Carson Benj would go 0 for 3 with a run scored. The Mets with runners in scoring position would go 1 for 4 and leave 4 runners left on base. And this was a game, ladies and gentlemen, that we thought this was when the losing streak was going to end, as the Mets would get onto the board quickly in the bottom of the third with Francisco Lindor with a second deck crushing 3-run homer that would give him an early 3-0 lead. But then in the top of the sixth, Byron Buxton with a 2-run homer. Excuse me. So McLean actually had 2 earned runs that were on him. Excuse me, no, all 3 earned runs were actually on him. I can't believe I'm blanking on this game because it was one of those games that I would wanted to forget. But here we are. Buxton 2-run homer made it 3-2. Then Luke Keeschel with an RBI single in the top of the seventh tied the game at 3. And then the top of the ninth, oh boy, it just went downhill from there. As Luke Keeschel with an RBI single again would make it 4-3, and then Devin would bring in a run via a Matt Wallner walk with the bases loaded. Just a nightmare situation for Devin Williams, as it would hand the Mets their 12th game that they would lose, and they would drop game 1 to the Minnesota Twins going into the next evening. Hopefully, would it be the end of the Mets losing streak? Indeed, it would, and it was not easy. That's for sure. As they would win this game 3-2, Luke Weaver would get the win. He would improve to 2-0 with a 5.40 ERA. And again, Weaver was one of those guys that was not having some good relief outings out of the bullpen, but was able to fix it in this game. Taylor Rogers would get the loss for the Twins. He would go to 0-1 with a 4.15 ERA. The final line in this game, the Twins with 2 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error. The Mets with 3 runs, 8 hits, and no errors. And also, another thing just forgot to mention, the Mets would strike out 8 times in game 1 last night. So then moving on to the pitching stat line, Clay Holmes got the start again, and Clay Holmes, I must say, has been very, very consistent. As he went 7 innings, he had about 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, including a home run. But I got to give flowers to Clay Holmes. He's looked really good out of that 4 spot in this Mets rotation. Brooks Raley then came in for 2/3 of an inning of work. He gave up a hit, a walk, a strikeout. Luke Weaver then came in, and he was the hero because he needed to be. An inning and a third, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. It was a big win for Weaver, who, again, was struggling. And for the hitting, Bo Bichette went 1 for 4 runs scored and a strikeout. Juan Soto, in his first game back since the right calf tightness injury over in San Francisco, would go 1 for 3 with a walk. Luis Robert Jr., 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Francisco Lindor went 2 for 2 with a run scored and an RBI. Brett Beatty, it looks like he had 2 walks and a run, so he didn't have a recorded at-bats. Alvarez, 1 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. Mark Vientos, 1 for 3 with an RBI, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Marcus Semien, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Tommy Pham, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He has not recorded a hit since being called up from AAA. Carson Bench then came in as a defensive replacement. He did not have a recorded at bat. Tyrone Taylor went 1 for 3 with a strikeout. The Mets would go 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position and leave 7 runners left on base. And again, the Mets would get off to a quick start thanks to Francisco Lindor with an RBI single would make it 1-0 New York. Then in the top of the fourth, Victor Caratini with a sacrifice fly would make it tied at 1-1. But then the Mets would get right back to work as they would take back the lead on the Francisco Alvarez RBI double, making it 2-1 New York. And then Byron Buxton, who was a thorn in the Mets side in this series, with a solo shot that tied the game up at 2. And then the big moment of the night, and we were thanking God that this somehow fell. Mark Vientos with a bloop single made it 3-2 New York, and that was all she wrote, as the Mets would finally break their worst losing streak since 2002 and finally win a game in the span of 3 weeks. It was something to behold. Now, the most important question, are the Mets going to be able to win the series? Well, in the intro, I said they would, but again, as in game 2, this game was not easy, and it was one of those games that Mets fans are lucky that they were able to witness, and luckily enough, they were able to win, as they would win 10-8 and then win the series over the Minnesota Twins. Devin Williams actually pulled off the win. He would improve to 1-1 with a 10.29 ERA. As said, it was not pretty. Andrew Morris with the loss, he would go to 0-1 with a 7.71 ERA. And in this line, folks, oh, it's something to behold. Twins, 8 runs, 12 hits, no errors. Mets, 10 runs on 10 hits and 1 error. The pitching stat line in this game. Christian Scott would make his first start in the MLB in over 2 years, coming back from Tommy John surgery. And I think it's safe to say that he was rushed as he went an inning and a third, giving up giving up an earned run, uh, gave up an inherited run. Five or no, it was a run on an no, it was one earned run, 5 walks. He walked the entire ballpark. It was not good. Gave up 1 strikeout. So Tobias Myers came in for a long relief outing. He went 2 and a third, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts. David Peterson, then 3 and a third of innings worked, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Craig Kimbrell, 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. 3 of those earned runs on Kimbrell were inherited by Huascar Braziban, who went in for 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit, an earned run, and a home run, which we will get to, don't worry. And Devin Williams came in to give us all the heart attack of our lives because that's just true Mets fashion as he came in for 2/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 2 strikeouts. The Mets offense, well, they were heavy and fully loaded in this game. Bo Bichette going 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and 2 strikeouts. Juan Soto 0 for 3 with 2 walks. Don't worry, he will get it back up and going quickly. I can promise you that. 0 for 3 for Francisco Alvarez with an RBI and 2 walks. Luis Robert Jr. went 1 for 4 with a run scored and RBI. Brett Beatty 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs and a walk and a strikeout. Excuse me. Vientos went 0 for 3 on the night. Tyrone Taylor came in as a defensive replacement, so he did not have recorded at bat. Marcus Simeon 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored and a strikeout. Ronnie Mauricio 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Carson Bench 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, an RBI and a strikeout. And then Tommy Pham came in to pinch hit, and luckily for him, he didn't get a hit, but he got a very crucial walk that would lead to a big rally for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning. They went 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position, only leaving 4 runners left on base. So this was definitely a big night for the offense. And as for the scoring, well, it was all over the place. Austin Martin would come in on a walk to give the Twins an early 1-0 lead. Brett Beatty then with a 3-run shot up to the second deck made it 3-1 New York, his first home run of the season. Bo Bichette then somehow, some way, he struck out swinging, and it was a passed ball by catcher Ryan Jeffers, made it 4-1 New York. Alvarez with a sac fly made it 5-1, and then Luis Robert Jr. with an RBI double made it 6-1. And that's how it would stay until the top of the fourth. Josh Bell, an RBI single, made it 6-2. So they were cracking back, but then Carson Bench with his second home run ever in the majors made it 7-2 New York in the bottom of the fourth. Then Tristan Gray with an solo shot in the top of the sixth made it 7-3 until the top of the eighth. Craig Kimbrell came in and he kept the bases loaded. Came out of this game. Then Huascar Braziban comes in, throws a sinker inside to Ryan Jeffers, who would hit a grand slam to tie this game up at 7. And every Mets fan in the ballpark and probably every Mets fan at home is probably thinking, oh boy, it's about to happen again. But Bo Bichette was not going to let that happen as he'd have a bases clearing double to make it 10-7 New York in the bottom of the eighth. Then in the top of the ninth, Tristan Gray with an RBI single made it 10-8. Devin Williams was in this game, but he was able to close the door as the Mets would win their first series in over 3 weeks by a final score of 10-8. But now that I rambled for about 13, 14 minutes, let's get our thoughts from our established gentlemen. So, what did we think about this series? And do there need to be adjustment to this bullpen now that we've seen what Devin Williams has gotten himself into?
I guess I'll start. Luke Weaver needs to be the closer. I will get that because he just has that in him, and I I saw from him the other night of what I saw with him with the Yankees in 2024, a guy that just revitalized his career. obviously as a reliever with the Yankees. Now here with the Mets, doing the same thing, and probably going to be this team's closer.
What are your thoughts, Dylan? What does this team need to improve on with the bullpen? Should Luke Weaver now be the closer for the Mets since Devin has had two, actually more like four rough outings as the Mets closer?
I could see Luke Weaver being the closer of the team, but I can also see them potentially handing it to Huascar Brazoban. He would just take out last night. He's been one of the best relievers in the Mets bullpen, to be quite honest with you. I could see him moving Williams to the setup role, be a seventh, eighth inning guy, alternating between Weaver and Brazoban to be the closer.
I agree with that. This is more of a case that, yes, I definitely agree with Gary that I think Weaver should definitely be a contender for that closing role. I think Brazaban should definitely be a contender in that closing role. But I think it just needs to be certain to this point that Mendoza cannot be trotting out Devin Williams in pressure moments anymore. It's it's one of those cases where you're throwing the 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 person with not a lot of strength into the lion's den, and most of the time he's getting torn apart by the lions. It's really at the point of no man's land in that case. So I definitely agree that Weaver should be the new closer for the Mets, or Huascar Brazaban should be the new closer for the Mets. But I think another thing that happened with this series is that this team seemed to finally gel and come together and figure out how to have masterful at bats. The only issue I have with last night is that I wish that last night was a more convincing win than it was, but it was still a win nonetheless.
Right.
And now I really think Bichette is finally coming to his own, and I think this is a team that can finally build to some consistency. But I think what they need to focus on is don't focus on trying to go for first place in the division. Just try to focus on getting those series wins, rack them up, and then once you're knocking at the door, maybe knocking at Miami's doorstep, then maybe focus on trying to get first place in the division. It's still, in baseball terms, it's still early, but now you know you can win. Now you just got to keep it going,
Yeah, especially against the Rockies starting tonight.
especially
Mhm.
against Colorado.
Got to sweep here.
Yeah, this is I wouldn't necessarily say a must sweep series, but you got to keep winning. You got to rack up wins.
2 out of
This
3 are
this is
sweet.
a homestand of which the Mets can take pure advantage in the division now.
100%.
And especially since the Phillies are on a 9-game losing streak, this is one of those series that it's going to help the Mets a lot because the Phillies cannot seem to find any sort of consistency at all, and they have just been on a downward spiral.
And they're
They
playing the
cannot
Braves
seem to
again.
figure anything out. And now they start a series against the division leading Atlanta Braves in Atlanta.
Yeah, that series is not going to pan well for Philly right now.
It's not. And nothing has gone together in Philly's way either. So now I have to ask, do we like Bo Bichette batting in the leadoff spot? And do we finally think that he's found his place in this lineup?
I like him in the leadoff spot.
Yeah,
I
like
think
that
he's.
too.
hmm
Sorry.
I know we originally brought him to drive in runs originally. That's why he was in like the 3 spot originally. But you know what? In the leadoff spot, he drove in a bases clearing double last night. So I mean, and he seems to be comfortable just already getting up to bat first.
Yeah, I think he enjoys the leadoff spot too. Like kind of like what we did with Lindor in 24, moving to the leadoff, I believe. Just one quick interesting thing about the Rockies is they're top 10 in the MLB in batting average. They're number 9, but they're bottom 10 in ERA. They're 20.
Hmm. The only issue I have with that is that the Mets are notorious for playing down the competition against high ERA pitchers.
I think the Rockies are throwing Lorenzen tonight. Could be
They
completely
are.
wrong.
It is.
Really good. Who can be really good at times.
He can. He can. I even mentioned this in the chat. I know that our buddy Mets Bat Flip says that, Lorenzen is a terrible pitcher, which he is, but let's keep in mind he had a not so great season over in Philadelphia and then twirled a no hitter. So anything can happen.
Exactly. I mean, just gotta just gotta keep getting good at bats. Like, just put the bat on the ball, hit it well, and we'll see what happens.
It's
That's
also
that's
more,
all I gotta say.
yeah, it's also more the case that, like you said in the chat as well, that he's not pitching at Coors Field tonight. He's pitching at Citi Field, which is a pitcher's friendly ballpark.
Oh yeah.
So it favors him more than it really favors anyone else.
hmm Well, we got fastball Freddie on the bump. Hopefully, he bounces back after not an awful outing, but could be better outing.
He's
He
he's figuring it out.
he needs to finish innings.
Hmm.
He really does.
He definitely does. This is a case where Freddie Peralta can make his name known and be like, "You signed me to be your top guy. I'm going to prove that I can be your top guy."
Hmm.
Especially against a team like Colorado.
Exactly.
Did you see Christian Scott option to AAA or no? Anybody see that?
I did hear that Christian Scott was optioned to AAA, and unfortunately, as it's the correct move. It is the correct move. I think this is more of a case that I think he was rushed. I think he was pushed back into a starting role with the Mets way too early. I don't think he was proven enough over in Syracuse. And I think it was just a last ditch effort by Stearns to be like, hey, we have a starter. But the issue is he ready? And he clearly was not ready as he was just walking the ballpark last night.
hmm I was at a Jets draft party and I kept seeing walk walk and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah. And the pitches he was throwing, they were missing by a lot.
hmm
He, he could not seem to be able to throw a strike to save his life. And I think he's more fortunate that we took him out as early as we did.
Yeah, he needed to get taken out. Like I was saying, even like during the first inning, just take him out. Just take him out.
Right. But now, also another lingering part now that we move away from the pitching, Lindor. He's injured. He now has left calf tightness, kind of the same injury as Soto, but it seems to be a little bit more severe. Now that Lindor has been taken out of the picture with this lineup for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks, is this going to be a wake up call for the Mets lineup to finally figure out how to start winning ball games and how to contend in the National League East?
I mean, we won without him last night. We seem to. I know probably this doesn't count because he was still healthy the game before that. But like, it just seems that Soto's presence right now is just fueling the team.
I agree. I definitely agree. Dylan, what do you think? Do you think this team can develop some consistency now that Lindor is out of the lineup?
I mean, yeah, there's more opportunities for young guys to play, like Vientos, Mauricio, and Beatty, just in general.
I agree. Now you just have to figure out how to put them in the right spots. I think it's interesting. I would not be surprised. I know that we brought up Mauricio and all that stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Bichette gets some starts over at short.
That's his
I
problem.
would I would like that a lot because Mauricio, he just seems lost. Like every time I see him up at the plate, he just seems to always strike out. Whether he goes down 3 pitches outside the zone or maybe only one of them gets in the zone, he just seems to always go down.
I agree. I know that we brought in Bo to play third base, but I really think that he should get some starts over at shortstop. And I think Mauricio should get some starts over at the DH spot once Soto is finally healthy and you can stick him back in right field or left field. He's playing left field.
Well, Carson Benj has been playing really well. If you
He
want to get
has. Now he's figuring it out. That's something you want to see from these rookies. especially out of Carson Bench. Now that he's figuring it out, now he's getting, you know, a lot of contact on the ball. Now he's just got to keep that going. And I think people laid him out too quickly, saying that he was going to be a bust. But now he's developing more. He's figuring out pitches, and now he's just got to keep that roll going. I really think that we have something special on our hands with Carson Bench.
Mhm. And I wouldn't expect a lot of home runs out of him. He's not really a home run hitter. He's just a guy that goes the other way, like similar to Jeff McNeil, but just a primary outfielder version
Yeah.
of Jeff.
Yeah, primary contact hitter for sure. But now that we got that all the way, let's preview tonight's game between the New York Mets and the Colorado Rockies. Game one of this set tonight, wearing the black unis on Blackout Friday. They've worn which is actually interesting because I have to mention this. They've worn the black unis Tuesday and Thursday. Is there's something there that maybe pitchers are more interested in wearing the black uni than they are wearing the occasional white Mets pinstripes?
Definitely. It's something unique that most teams don't have is the black jersey like the Mets though. Could
Yeah,
be
it's just interesting to me how that works.
I think we need to bring back the blue home alternate uniforms
I
because
remember those.
those are my favorites.
Yeah, Mets lineup's out by the way. If you want me to read it off.
Yes, we will.
You want me to read it off or
Yeah, you can read it off.
we got Bichette at 1, Soto at 2, Alvarez at 3, Beatty at the 4, Vientos 5, Simeon 6, Bench 7, Taylor 8, Mauricio 9.
That's a solid lineup.
It is a solid lineup, especially against tonight's starting pitcher, who is Michael Lorenzen, who we were discussing about a bunch. He is 1-2 with a 7.48 ERA, and now, well, I think the lineup mostly for Colorado is we see a lot of AAA guys.
Oh, really?
So, yes, Mickey Moniak batting first for the Rockies at DH. Hunter Goodman is catching at playing second.
He's good, Hunter Goodman.
TJ Rumfield takes a start over at first base, batting third. He's someone to look out for. He's actually got 15 RBIs on the season. Batting fourth in the cleanup spot is Tyler Freeman. Batting fifth is, I believe, Troy Johnston. Yes, I am indeed correct. In right field, he has 12 RBIs on the season. Batting sixth is, I believe, Kyle Karros. Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry. I don't know much of the lineup for the Colorado Rockies because I don't really pay attention a lot to the Rockies, considering the NL West. Ezekiel Tovar, I know him, batting seventh. Batting eighth is Jake McCarthy. And batting ninth is Brenton Doyle, who has been off to a slow start. So definitely a very beatable lineup. But also another thing that I'd like to take into mention with this lineup that I see right here as well. Moniak 324, Johnston 325, and Freeman 293. Most of the other hitters are batting below that or at least above average. Again, that's not as much better as what the Mets lineup has, but it's something to build on. That it could be one of those nights that it could be a pitcher's duel type night because maybe both offenses aren't on the top of their game. But you also have to know that attacking the Rockies bullpen isn't necessarily a bad thing either. But what I would definitely like to see is Peralta pitch at least 6 to 7 innings tonight and hopefully develop consistency on the bump. What do you guys want to see tonight out of the Mets, other than a win, obviously?
I would Dylan start. I would Dylan start.
Okay. I mean, I like to see consistent hits with the runners in scoring position. Score as many runs as you can off Lorenzen. And for Peralta to pitch deep into a game, not his usual 5 or 6 innings. He's got to get into the game. I mean, hang on. Sorry. I mean, this bullpen, props to Myers and Peterson. The bullpen's pretty fresh, but we don't really want to burn the whole bullpen tonight against the Rockies, which wouldn't be ideal. Peralta's got to go at least, like TJ or Todd said, 6 to 7 innings. Get those, like, I feel like he could get at least over 8.5 strikeouts today.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those cases where you need Peralta to give you deep innings. And I think that they can give us deep that he's very reliable in giving us deep innings. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can keep the winning streak going. If they win tonight, that's 3 in a row. Yes, we're so excited for 3 wins in a row. That's how this season has gone. But
That's called a winning streak.
indeed it is. Indeed it is called a winning streak. But now they just got to figure out. But I think the last thing we'll touch on is he used Twitter last night. The owner decided to tweet last night,
Yippee.
and
He's got to delete that damn app.
it was more of the case that he said something great about, like, he was happy that Bo did something. Here, I have the tweet. That was a big moment for Bo. Great to see. Let's take a quick look at those comments. Everybody's saying stop tweeting.
Cohen, delete the app, bro.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, when I saw his tweet, I was like, "Oh no, here we go."
Here we go again. It's like, man, this is not good. But every single Met fan here says, Steve Cohen, stay off of Twitter, please, for all of our sanities.
For real.
But again, the Mets play the Rockies tonight in Game 1, 7:10 to start on SMY. Gary, Keith, and Ron have the call for you. Blackout night with the black unis. I have to be totally honest with you. I would much rather they need to bring back the black unis with the white piping.
Hang on, Dad.
I agree. Yep.
That's
that.
what needs to return. Those unis right there.
Just give me 1 second. I'll hold it up. Oh, is that in the camera or no? I can't really see it. It's not here. This is
good.
Here. This is lit. I'll hold it backwards.
Yes, those are the jerseys that need to come back, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the blue piping ones.
No, it just looks like unseeable.
We got Bogey right here too.
I would love those back.
I got these.
Oh, the 86.
I got it for me. It's like 50. It's Daniel Vogelback.
The Vogelback.
Daniel Vogelback. That's a name I didn't think I'd hear ever again.
Oh, we got it. We got it. It fits.
Daniel Vogelback. That's a name.
Oh, still got it. No, let's see. Lindor.
It's turning into an impromptu, what's in Dylan's closet?
Yeah.
The green, orange, and blue closet tour.
Lindor.
Indeed.
Joey Votto. And then every hat in creation.
Well, the two jerseys that I have are the what are they? They have the 2015 World Series David Wright jersey. I have the blue piping Pete Alonso jersey, which I'm keeping. I'm never getting rid of. I don't care if he's on a different team.
That's fine.
What else do I have? I have a 7-line jersey from 2024. When I went to, I think it was Mets Royals back in April of 24. And then I have a custom jersey with my last name on it. Those are the 4. Or I also have a Johan Santana jersey as well.
Nice.
It's a kid's jersey, so I can't really do a whole lot with it.
David Wright signed baseball card.
I do too. I own that too. I also own. I own this too.
I own DeGrom rookie as well.
Brandon Nimmo.
That's cool. I have a DeGrom rookie card too.
There's actually hang on a second.
Oh, this thing is really short.
Oh, here it is.
Oh. There it is.
It's a personalized one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Believe me, I have way too many baseball cards.
It's all good.
One of those hobbies that I like to do. But now, basically, this episode's turned into what memorabilia do we have? Nice.
This is our segment.
Yes. Why not? This show needs segments. Let's be real with ourselves.
All right, Todd, I have a question for you.
I may have an answer. What's up?
So the Mets corresponding move to Christian Sky was calling up Carl Edwards Jr. Where do you think he plays in this Mets team?
Where do I think that Edwards Jr. plays in this Mets team? I think he plays as a middle reliever.
Gary, what do you think?
I know Stern's signing the start, but I agree with TJ. Probably in the bullpen.
Middle relief, because I've seen Carl Edwards Jr. before. He's decent, but he's not the greatest. He's more of a guy that can give you 1 to 2 innings, if anything.
Yeah, definitely.
He's more of a reliever in my book. So who really knows what happens with him? It will be very interesting to see what happens with him, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Bleed Orange and Blue podcast, and for seeing all three of us just, trying to figure out what this episode was. Like, we're containing all of our excitement and happy that the Mets won the series, and then we basically just deciphered off and be like, all right, how can we fill time? We got to figure out something to talk about. But no worries, it's all good. My thanks, of course, to Dylan Marciano, which we hope, if all things go correctly, you will see his audio and his video in this episode, and not like last time, which we were unable to put him into the episode. And of course, Gary King III below us, as well as always, his third episode along with us. My name is TJ Labby. Thank you all for listening and watching this episode of the Bleed Orange and Blue podcast. And as for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, you can put it in the books. Hey, I also forgot to mention that Dylan has his own podcast now. It's called The Flushing Breakdown. Make sure to go check that out as well. It's called The Flushing Breakdown on YouTube. Thanks you all for watching. We'll see you next time on the Bleed Orange and Blue series recap.